the reason why we watched this documentary, the My Octopus Teacher, is because my son was asking me why I stopped eating meat. And I said, well, it's not due to any one particular influence or experience. It was really a culmination of things. I mean, back when I was younger, that's almost all I ate was meat. And so it was just a result of a number of different influences and information that I gathered. And this was one of them, this movie, this My Octopus Teacher. And it was one of the things that had an influence on me and the choices that I was making over foods that I was going to eat. And, this has had a lasting impact on me. That was sort of the message that I wanted, my son to hear as well. When he's at the sushi restaurant and deciding on what he wants to order, just to remember, this documentary about this amazing creature. And there's so much that we still have to learn from the natural worlds, and whether it's octopuses or really, other creatures, so many other creatures, we're just discovering, how sophisticated they are and how they work and live and feel. It's incredible what is now being discovered in the science of nature, what these creatures are capable of doing, and at the same time, how much we have to learn from them, and ways that we connect with them as well. So yeah, so much to learn and understand about the natural worlds that we really just have a glimpse at now.
Yeah, that's really real. And as you know, I had been taking off time on and off for 3 years, volunteering in an animal sanctuary. And I've been able to spend considerable time with them. And I can most certainly say that they are sentient.
Absolutely. I mean, there's scientists have even discovered that insects are sentient. And if you've ever watched ants, colonizing, it's incredible what they do. But one really needs to see and observe and appreciate, and that's the difference.
Yeah. I'm mostly vegetarian, but every now and then, this is something that I don't admit freely. One of the ways to get me to eat meat is if it's roadkill. If it's
Oh,
really fresh. I
okay,
was
we're
on a
not going to post
camping
this.
trip. We might. I mean, I was on a camping trip and we were having moose tacos. I've never
Oh my
tried
goodness.
moose. I didn't know people really eat moose. I had no idea. And they're like, well, it was hid and I saw it happen. And her and her friend who was vegan took apart the moose
Oh wow.
and took it back and told us about it. I'm like, you know what? I want to honor that this animal lived and I don't want it to go to waste. I've never tried moose. Um, and I tried it and it was really good.
Wow.
And then, I'm in Wisconsin. I grew up part-time in Wisconsin and sometimes someone hits a deer or a
Yeah.
goat or a cow because there's a lot of wandering animals. Like people don't always do a great job of keeping them in.
Right.
And I don't always love when there's something about it that when people hunt, I respect it in some ways if they do it in a way that the animal does not know what hits them and it's
Yeah.
not in front of their families. In that case, and if someone's there and they prepared it and I'm at a friend's house and someone's talking about it and they just brought it in, I am far, far more likely to eat it because it hasn't been factory farmed. I want to make sure it's very, 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 very well cooked.
Right.
Um, and that, it's something that is a little bit more sacred. So it's not just me eating meat all day, every day, like most people do, and not caring about the animal's level of happiness or also all of the junk that's in there, hormones, antibiotics, chemical fertilizers, chemical feeds, everything like that. But
Yeah.
the animals like lived a good life and they weren't suffering on their way out. I I do eat it every now and then. And then, every so often, if someone's prepared something and they feel really good about it and I don't have a lot of options, I'll have a little bit.
I really liked what you said, Sharon, about honoring that, that this life was here. I think so much of that idea is lost in today's culture when it comes to the choices that we make about the foods that we consume. It's really, we're all part of this sort of consuming feedlot, and that idea of honoring where these foods came from is very much lost in the speed and the busyness of today's life. It's just eat and move on and get on to something else. And I think that's really an important message that, let's stop and pause and think about where these foods came from, and that if they are from animals, that these were animals that lived on the planet and they were here for a reason.
Right.
That's a really important message.
Yeah, and sometimes I'll go to the animal sanctuary and this local bison farmer will have like thrown some of the lesser cuts, they'll just toss them over in the refrigerator area for us and we'll drag them. I don't like to do it, but I'll be along with the group that drags it over to the tiger, and then I like watching the tiger eat it,
Yeah,
because it's nature.
yeah.
And I want to support the man and see that they're treating the bison well, and they are. And so every now and then I'll bison, and I'll also have bison from Montana. Ted Turner very sustainably and responsibly raises bison on their ranch. And so if
Right.
I have an opportunity to have that, whether it's Ted's Montana Grill or something like that, I feel like they're trying to bring the bison back. They're doing the right thing, and it tastes good. I still have a taste for meat every now and then. I just don't like the way it comes to us, and then the how often people eat it.
Well, it creates such a separateness between us and the animal world or the natural worlds. And
Hmm.
most people, are just a mystery to them how this food shows up in the grocery department.
Right.
And so they experience it in that way, that it's separate from everything else, and they don't give a second thought about where it came from. Um, and that's a big part of the reason why we're in the trouble that we're in, is this separateness and this lack of respect for, these animals and the natural world, and that leads to a real separateness between us and the planet. And that's um, it's not it's not where we need to be now in the way that we think about the planet. And that's part of what we'll be discussing on this episode. So thank you very much, Sharon. Great.